Welcome to chapter 11 of Far from the Madding Crowd. In the previous chapter, Mistress and Men, we have seen how Bathsheba Everdeen takes charge of the farm. Now in chapter 11, which is titled Outside the Barracks, Snow, a Meeting, let's see what happens. Outside the barracks, snow. The chapter begins with the picturization of a dreary winter at a military station miles north of Weatherbury. So this military station is miles away from Weatherbury, and this chapter is set in this place. The time is late evening. There is a public path with a river on the left side. You can imagine a path or a way. It has a river on the left side and a high wall behind the river. You can also picturize a form or a shape that is seen moving by the river. So there we can see a form which was moving by the river. That shape advanced slowly through the snow, which was about 2 inches deep. So there was snow which was about 2 inches deep, and this shape or form was moving slowly through this snow. It could be heard counting 1, 2, 3. Which represented the windows high in the wall. So at the other end of the river or behind the river, we could see a wall, a high wall. And at that wall, there were many windows. So we could see that this shape was counting 1, 2, 3 based on the number of windows it is covering. When it reached the 5th window, the figure, by now we know it's a human, right? That figure is a human. It stooped down and took a morsel of snow, or it made a ball out of snow and flew it at the 5th window. When it reached the 5th window, it stopped and took some snow and threw it at the 5th window. After trying multiple times, it managed to strike the window. Someone opened the window and asked, "Who is there?" Such calls at the windows during the late evenings were common for them, as marriage was looked down upon in the army. So with the opening of the window and with the question from within, we can conclude that such calls or these windows are much familiarized, or the people within these windows are familiar to such calls. Because we know that is a military station, and within the army, marriage was not so favored. And thus all such communication would happen during this time. We know it is late evening, and all these kind of communication would happen in the late evenings through the window. So the question was, who's there? The shape asked, "Is it Sergeant Troy?" "Yes. What girl are you?" So the shape or the form or the figure, it asked the question shiveringly or tremulously. It asked the question whether it is Sergeant Troy at the window. "Oh, Frank, don't you know me?" said the spot. "Your wife, Fanny Robin." "Oh, Frank." So Sergeant Troy's another name is Frank. We get to know that. And the woman asks, "You don't know me? I'm your wife, Fanny Robin." Sergeant Troy or Frank was astonished to see Fanny there. I did not expect you tonight. Indeed, I did not think you would come at all. It was a wonder that you found me here. I'm orderly tomorrow. So he was surprised to see her there. And he also said, or he also talked about his conviction that he thought Fanny wouldn't be coming for him. Then Fanny asks, "Can you come to me?" "My dear Fan, no. The bugle has sounded. The barracks gates are closed and I have no leave." So Fanny asks whether Sergeant Roy can come and meet her. Then he replies that he can't. Then she asks, "And Frank, when will it be?" "What?" "That you promised?" "I don't quite recollect." So here Fanny asks about something. She asks when will that thing be. But Frank or Sergeant Roy appears unconcerned, or he appears ignorant about what Fanny is asking him. So he is asking her, "What? What did I promise you?" I can't recollect what I promised you." So Fanny asks him, when shall they get married? They decide to put up banns. Banns means marriage proclamation. Here you can see banns. There we have to proclaim that we are getting married to this person on this date. The time, everything should be proclaimed or should be a kind of an advertisement. So they decide to put up banns in their parishes. I'll read from the text. "And shall I put up the banns in my parish, and will you in yours?" "Yes." "Tomorrow?" "No tomorrow. We'll settle in a few days." "You have the permission of the officers?" "No, not yet." "Oh, how is it? You said you almost had before you left Casterbridge." "The fact is, I forgot to ask. Your coming like this is so sudden and unexpected." So here we get to know many details. One is that the last time they met, it was at Casterbridge, and at that time he had promised her that he'd marry her, and he had also said that he had almost got the permission from the officers, because as I have already mentioned, marriage was not favored in army, and thus the officers or the army men should be getting permission from their officers. Now when Fanny is asking whether he has got permission from the officers, he is saying that the fact is I forgot to ask. So we'll get to see how important or how insignificant is the promises that he had made. How insignificant is the place of Fanny in his life, etc. And he is saying that your arrival was so sudden and unexpected that I didn't manage, or I couldn't manage to get permission from the officers. And I have also forgotten that, or I have forgotten about you, or I forgot to ask. She requests him to come and see her at Mrs. Twill's, where she will be. He agrees to meet her there. Saying thus, Fanny Robin moves away from the window, and Frank or Sergeant Troy closes the window. We have come to the end of chapter 11. This chapter talks about a meeting between Sergeant Troy or Frank and Fanny Robin. Fanny has come to meet Frank to ask when will they be getting married. Thank you.